Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Reach out to me for pricing. I am still tmosso@thewatchbox.com. The watch you see here is a Pioneer, one of the first products made by watchmaker Daniel Roth under his own name, one of the first made by his pioneering independent horology brand, and one of the first watches from the independent horology movement that can be justly described as vintage. This is the Daniel Roth Tourbillon C187, and the timepiece is a marvel. In white gold, super compact, 34.9 millimeters from side to side, not including the crown, the Ellipso-Curvex case, only 11.1 millimeters thick and super compact at only 41 millimeters from lug to lug, with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see it wears quite nicely, and the lugs are far inboard of the edge of my wrist. I would say the watch wears like a 38 or 39 millimeter round watch, so just use that as your reference. I could see this working for men and women, especially as the strap breaks in and becomes a little bit more flexible. With a domed case flank and a low profile, it will fit underneath a cuff as a dress watch should, and you can see the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist, even squeezing hard on the strap, even when viewed from over the top, which exaggerates the width of the watch. The strap, you will note, is Daniel Roth, and you may be wondering, how can a brand that was only just resurrected in 2023 offer brand-correct straps? Well, first of all, it was resurrected in 2023, and Louis Vuitton is behind it, but also because Louis Vuitton owns the Gerald Genta and the Daniel Roth brands. If you ever need a branded strap or a buckle or service or parts on the watches, they go back to LV's properties in the Vallée de Joux, where the original Daniel Roth and Gerald Genta factory was located. It's still operating, and that's where this watch would go if it ever needed service. So you've got a small brand cachet, but you've also got big brand and big corporate backing for parts and service forever. Now there's a white gold buckle right here. This white gold, as you can see, is in excellent condition, and we have an elevated bridge over the prongs, which is a feature I always like to see, and so the strap sort of sits flush inside the buckle rather than stacking up underneath. There's also a little character line there. Taking a look at the case, very traditional, at least in terms of how it's made. The shape is innovative and distinctive of the brand, but look how the lugs are attached. They're socketed into slots in the case. The parts are made separately, 4 lugs, the bezel and the case back, and the way this works is that the lugs are welded into place, and then evidence of the weld is removed by hand to create these sharp breaks. The metal is full and robust and well-defined all the way around, indicating minimal, if any, polishing over the years, and it has the original vintage-inspired unsigned crown, which is slightly countersunk so it doesn't become too obtrusive. Taking a look, there's a strake or gadroon that runs around the belt line of the watch, giving it a little bit of definition at the midpoint, and a pusher adjuster for rapidly correcting the pointer-style date on the reverse of the watch. So let's take a look here. We've got a reverse dial. We have reserve de manche, manual wind. It goes all the way to 50 hours when fully wound. You could see here that this is one of the originals. The Daniel Roth watches made under his name were made from 1989 to 1994 under his own hand. In the later part of the 90s, he had less and less involvement. By the 2000s, he was gone as Hourglass first purchased the company and then later sold it to Bulgari, which in turn was purchased by Louis Vuitton. But prior to 1995, watches would have had this Helvetic head hallmark. And so from 89, when this watch debuted, through 1994, when Daniel Roth departed, this is the hallmark you would have seen on the watch. And so this is very authentic and part of that early era when he was very much the creative and technical lead of the company bearing his name. The back is solid gold, so this is actually a dial cut from a solid block of gold. It's been cut on straight line machines and rose lathes, and it's made of solid gold that's silvered to give it this silvery shine. We have a pointer style date. We have the reserve de manche. It is a manual wind watch, and with a 50-hour power reserve, you get a reasonable autonomy considering the power-intensive tourbillon, and as you wind, it's always fun to watch the power reserve in motion. The dial on the front end is also made of solid gold, silvered and cut on lathes. We have steel hands, blued over fire. We have 3 concentric scales for 0 to 20, 20 to 40, and then 40 to 60. That's how you read your seconds. There are 3 different tri-spokes on the 1-minute tourbillon. And the tourbillon is equipped with a overcoil hairspring that you can't quite see from here. Take my word, it's there. And the cage is beautifully decorated with a combination of black polish across its surfaces. Every single surface specular finished, mirrored to the highest grade, finished with diamond paste to create a shine that's often described as black, because you can see at only one angle does it actually reflect the light. From every other angle, black. The interior hollows of some of the tourbillon carriage components have also been internally beveled, which is very impressive. There's a little golden chaton holding the pivot jewel for nostalgic purposes, harking back to the pocket watch era of Breguet, and then all of the screws are polished on their heads and chamfered around their circumference and slots. It beats away at a quaint 2.5 hertz or 18,000 vibrations per hour and pivots on 19 joules, and all of this water resistant down to 30 meters. The movement, fascinatingly, is based on the LeMania 387, but here's the thing. Before LeMania was sandwiched with Breguet under Investcorp as Nouvelle LeMania in the early 90s, Daniel Roth was independently working for LeMania, designing calibers for them, including the 387 tourbillon caliber. So while this is technically a highly modified and finished LeMania 387, it is Daniel Roth's own design, meaning it's not so much a customer caliber as a caliber that has come home. If you love this pioneering piece of independent horology history from one of the originals, Daniel Roth, one of the few who struck out with the ambition and the ability and the appetite for risk to work outside the groups, without brands like Daniel Roth, without Franck Muller, without Roger Dubuis, without Alain Silberstein, it's hard to see the Journes, de Bethunes, MBNFs, and heck, Voudelanens and Régepes of the modern era getting as far as they have. This is a bedrock piece for the modern era of watchmaking, and a beautiful one at that. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.